I was also in the news today that, there's about 5,000 families suing the makers of vaccines, claiming vaccines are the cause of their autism.
Right.
But as we know, as pediatricians, that isn't true. There have been many carefully review of all the cases. We can't find any evidence-based studies that there's any truth. Is that true?
Yeah, all current research shows that the vaccines really are not the culprit for autism. Autism is partly genetic. There is definitely partly an environmental factor that it's not clear at this point exactly what. But there's a lot of people get excited about mercury and about tuna fish and about all sorts of different things. But the reality is that even tuna fish, there's just so little mercury, if any, in there that it's not going to cause any problems. The vaccines don't even have mercury in them anymore. A lot of that has been taken care of and hasn't affected autism at all.
Well, in Denmark, they took everything out in 1992,
Exactly.
and lo and behold,
the
autistic rate went up even higher.
Yeah.
We took it out about 10 years ago, virtually of all that, big a little trace, and our rates allegedly aren't going down. They're going up.
Yeah, and I understand being cautious, but the problem is where you start scaring people, especially with something like vaccinations, where vaccines are probably one of the best medical things that ever happened to society in the world, and probably one of the reasons why the children are surviving so much better than they did, even 20 and 100 years ago, is because of vaccinations and getting rid of all these infections. So a lot of people get nervous and they'll avoid vaccinating their children, and they're exposing them to a lot more risk than these theories that they're causing all different problems.
Well, a good example, the estimation if we didn't vaccinate against measles, we probably would have 4 million cases a year. And as you're aware as a neurologist, a lot of those kids have some neurological complications. Is that true? Yeah,
and by neurological complications, sometimes this can be devastating, where they can have intractable seizures that just can't be controlled, and they can have, and some children can really lose their cognitive abilities, and it could be very scary. And even with our vaccinations, I mean, in the news we hear all the time of these measles outbreaks, even in America, around the country. And people, I think in America we got so comfortable with all the vaccines and the relative low risk of infection of a lot of these viruses and bacteria that we take it for granted sometimes, and really we need to definitely be extra careful on vaccinating our children.
Well, in the 30s, there was reported 15,000 deaths just whooping cough in babies, and you don't even hear about whooping cough. You see some kids coughing, a 100-day cough, you get with whooping cough, and we eliminate that. But I'm sure you lived where there was some HIV meningitis in kids,
of course.
a couple of thousand cases a year, and the sequelae from that was terrible.
Right.
Pneumococcal meningitis is sort of like down in some cases occasionally. In meningococcal, I've actually older kids, those are down, but that's a scary thing, that meningitis, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, and even one of the most recent vaccinations against varicella, the chickenpox. A lot of parents say, we all had chickenpox and we all turned out fine. What do we need the chickenpox vaccine for? And what people don't realize is that, yes, it doesn't happen to everyone, and it's only a minority of people that get chickenpox, but eventually they get a lot of neurological problems from varicella, from the virus itself, later on in life. And with the chickenpox vaccine, we can hopefully avert these.
So in other words, if you ever get a diagnosis of a neurologically impaired kid, autism, and stuff like that, there are programs available.
Sure.
Okay, the city, the federal government, up to the age of 3. After 3, it's a little bit difficult because the school system or the local school board has to have some programs for in between. Some places are better than others, but nothing will go wrong getting the kid into a stimulation program, because obviously the government would pay for programs like that unless there was some real gains from it.
Sure.
Okay, but if you think there's a therapy that promises you a cure, and it's $10,000 a year, it's probably going to help the guy's bottom line, and maybe not have to get that much. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing, again, if you have a child that has any sort of delays, speak with your pediatrician, be referred to a neurologist, get evaluated, or a developmental pediatrician, and really get evaluated properly, and you really want to be sent to the proper places where they can, where their primary goal is taking care of your child and not necessarily making money on the latest fad.
I always believe that if you're going to have a kid with that question mark, we always have a pediatric neurologist or a developmental pediatrician see the kid before they go into one of the programs, just to make sure that we're on the right track. Because sometimes
sure.
they have a master's of social work doing developmental history, and that may not be the same as a competent pediatric neurologist. Is that true?
Yeah, of course. And a lot of times there are specific problems that can be diagnosed more than just, oh, he doesn't speak well or he doesn't walk well. A lot of times these are due to specific neurological problems, nerve, muscle, in the brain, anywhere, and that can really only be diagnosed properly by a pediatric neurologist.
Thank you very much.